camp this week, so loving that. When he said he'd been at it 8 years, I was like, only 8 years, but there were 2 years where we were at home. So, I don't know, do you want me to tell my story about like what we decided kind of going into the COVID pandemic situation?
Yeah,
we were at home like everybody else, and my husband says, babe, what if you don't go back to work till like July 1st? I'm like, July 1st, what? Like, who takes 2 months off of work? In my head, I decided if we're going to spend 2 months in this house, we're going to make a difference, okay? Who knew that 2 months was going to turn into almost 2 years? But it's made a difference in something we've done with our son. And I think with each other. My husband's...
a lot of differences in a lot of people.
Yeah,
I think you realize a lot.
Yeah, I mean, we specifically decided that, and it was such a small tweak, but it made the biggest impact, is when we sat down, we normally sit on couches and we would start a movie on Netflix or whatever for dinner. And we decided that instead of that, we'll sit where we're going to sit. We don't have a kitchen table anymore, but we're not going to turn on the TV till after we're done eating. And my favorite nights ended up being the nights where the TV never came on. And I have to tell you, we have a 16-year-old who doesn't watch very much TV at all. I mean, at all. And I think it's because a shift happened then. Mm-hmm. When I was in high school, my senior year of high school, our TV blew out. You know, the big cabinet TV in Cincinnati.
The dial.
Right, and with 4 girls who were going to be heading off to college, it wasn't a real priority, so we didn't get it fixed. Well, then I went to college, didn't get it fixed. I mean, didn't have a TV. I was in college, so I went 2 or 3 years without a TV. So it's just, like, it was such a small change to do during pandemic. And were we perfect at it? No. There were certainly times where we're like, oh no, we're not supposed to have it on yet. But our intention was so good with it, and I really feel like it has made a difference in how the evenings still feel with a 16-and-a-half-year-old in the house. So that's really my story. I'm the oldest of 4 girls, and I never had anything tragic happen to me. Thank God, literally. And I think that's what drew me when it was just Juvenile Justice Impact. She knows this, but my dad passed away on June 30th of 2020, and her birthday was on July 2nd, first of 2020.
Lee and I.
Right, and I didn't want to leave my mom, but I went in to give her a hug. She convinced me I should leave, and the last thing she said was, "Go to the party." And so that was kind of the night we became friends, because when somebody invites you to their birthday, you go. But anyway, but I think that's what drew me to the actual charity. Thank you. That is a much rougher road than you ever think it's going to be, to lose, I think, a key person in your life. You just don't, it's going to happen. You just don't think it's going to rock you quite as much as it does. So everything's different. I always thought grief was in stages, meaning you went out of this stage and into this stage and out of that stage into the other, but that's not true. All of it happens at once with a nice thin underlying bit of anger, that apparently is all of it. I was like, when's the anger stage coming? But it's in there all the time. So, I would say in the grieving world, give yourself grace. Everything does change because it's supposed to. But if I look at my life now compared to a year ago, I feel like, wow, I mean, this is the woman I'm supposed to be, 100%, the difference a year makes.
And I've always said that I'm so sorry about your mom. And when she came to...
My dad.
When...
My mom's the one that said, go to the party.
Oh, right, yeah.
Yeah.
When she came to Lee and our birthday, and you had said that, it just has always stuck with me.
Oh, wow, yeah. I didn't talk to a lot of people, just sort of floated around the beautiful home, and, was in good company. Mm-hmm. So anyway, I think there's things happen at times in your life for specific reasons. 18 days later, I was introduced to the part of the healthcare that I'm dealing with now, that we'll talk about later. Yeah. But, I felt like that just the signs that were all over that situation. 18 days after my dad dies, really? It was just an interesting story for another time.
It is, and sometimes, in grief and loss, it's always nice to be around people that are company.
Yeah, and I know you just lost his brother. I'm not even going to say it gets easier, but you'll get through it. Every day, yeah. You got to just keep on keeping on. And there were a couple of times my husband would say, I would be like, oh, I just want to talk to my dad. And he says, you know what your dad would say. And he's right. Plus, in my world, my dad's right here. You know, he's part of it. I have harder grief when I go to my parents' home, because there I miss the physical part too. So that's harder, you know. But every day, just keep on keeping on.
Yeah, when I walk into my parents' home, so where I grew up was where my mom and dad, actually my father grew up as a child. So, yeah.
In the same home, the exact same home? I moved like 14 times growing up. I can't even imagine that.
Right.
Wow, that's so different.
So yeah, every time I walk through that front door, it's you know, you wish that that person's going to be there. But,
if I wish it hard enough.
But you know what? I celebrate his life, and I'm happy that he taught me the lessons that I did, and I take that.
Absolutely.
I take that with me.
Absolutely, 100%.
Yeah.
So.
And you know, you think about people that you've lost, and you know, I'm blessed that I had that in my life. I mean, think of all the people that don't have that kind of a person that meant that much to you in your life. Right?
Well, and that's part of when I see or hear just a smidge of the stories that somebody will share about their journey through the system, that I'm like, wow, if that exact same thing had happened to my son, where would not just he be, but where would our whole family be? Like, one incident can spin an entire generation out. You know, so I feel like what you are doing with Juvenile Justice Impact is so impactful. I wish there were more of you. I mean, you're one girl, you know, you're one girl trying to change the world, but I really believe you can.
One person at a time, one challenge at a time, and you know, I've been motivated and feel like this is, you know, really the purpose of my life, and I'm so very blessed to have this opportunity to have an impact not only on our youth, our families, our community. I mean, we have such an incredible community, and the support and from everyone, personally, professionally, and you know.
And I think especially the podcast, everybody knows where we are, right? Where we live. I mean, in the city. That we're in Vegas.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Okay. It's very obvious. I don't know. We're not supposed to say something we're not supposed to say. But somebody said to me one time. You know, well, we had asked this person, you know, how do you feel about us raising children in Las Vegas? And he's like, I feel great about it. And of course, you know, a group of moms were like, what do you mean? And he said, you know, if you were in any city, anywhere, what we have going on here is happening there. They just don't pay attention to it. They push that down. Nobody really talks about it. It's not happening. The moms in this city are hyper aware and on it. You know, and so awareness is everything when it comes to something like that. Awareness and intention are my two things.
Well, I think some people, you know, that don't live here, they can't imagine like the sense of community that we have, the sense of warmth, the sense of support. An incredible amount of support that we have here. They, you know, a lot of people just, you know, they see a scene from The Hangover and Las Vegas, Las Vegas Boulevard,
and there it is, right?
Yeah. And there's no houses. It's
right.
just casino.
I will tell you, I moved here from Northern California, so literally to open the Bellagio. That's where I met my husband. So anyway, I drove along the ocean to say goodbye in the Monterey Bay area, and then came here, and I got off on the wrong exit and got off down at the end at Sahara and started working my way back in a U-Haul. It was sexy. In a U-Haul down the Las Vegas Strip, and I'm thinking, what have I done? You know, well, that was 23 years ago, so I'm 23 years into my 5-year Vegas plan. So something gets a hold of you. It does.
And look at all the beautiful friends.
It does. Yeah. I mean, I have lots of pockets of friends around the city. It would certainly save me time if everybody could get together and just be friends in one area. No, we have an amazing community, and this has been such just your events and the draw that people come in for, you know, that's only going to get bigger over time, you know, and be able to do that much more out there.
Yeah, we definitely have had the opportunity to collaborate with some incredible people, some incredible companies, people that have been incredibly supportive. So I'm eternally, you know, grateful. You know, that level of gratitude will never fade for sure.
Yeah.
And
Good.
you have always been a supporter. And
absolutely.
She's always showing up at the events, and it makes a difference when you have people that you really care about in your life that make the effort to come like you did. So
well,
I'm really thankful for that.
I always want to be somebody who shows up. That's half the battle, showing up.
Right, yeah.
Right?
Right, it is. We had mentioned previous to the recording that we were talking about social media in youth. And how during the pandemic, I that you felt like it altered a lot of youth and their and their behaviors?
Yes, that for sure. I mean, there's, and that's, I'm just going to repeat what every other person out there has said about social media. There certainly have been some good things. I'm on a constant thread. This isn't social media, but I'm on a text with my mom and my 3 sisters. We hammer it out on the text sometimes, but mostly we're just kind of staying in each other's lives easily. So it does have its positives. Social media, there's enough about that. I'm definitely not, I'm on social media, but I just feel like I don't need to bear everything on social media, and I don't care if somebody likes it. It's more, I'm in the mood to be giving a message, not caring who's liking the message. That's none of my business, really. So anything I ever post, I'm certainly not looking to argue, and anybody who's been blocked on my post knows that. Just keep it clean, keep it nice,
right.
Keep it classy. But it's not for the likes and all of that. It's because I need to get something off my chest, is usually when I would be putting a post out on something like that. My issue was more on the video games and the absolute realism and violence attached to that. It's just, I remember when I played,
Pac-Man?
No, the real thing with the guns, the paintballs. That's a long time ago,
Right.
I was in Tucson, but we were doing that. And I just remember being so scared, and it was completely fake, right? They're with paintballs. So now you put a camera on here and a thing around me. I literally was freaked out that somebody was standing there with a gun in his hand at me, just the goggles, the whole shebang. Okay. So now I would be looking as a little mind that's forming and taking in what's right and what's not right. You've got these little things on them, and they're killing things, and there's no emotion attached to it at all. It's not even, I don't think about winning and losing anymore on those games. I think it's just doing it. And they're numb. They're numb. Mm-hmm. So, and we're numb. I was not, honestly, I didn't watch anything about the Uvalde, Texas shooting because it just is so hard. Until, of course, Matthew McConaughey was talking last night, and I could see what Matthew McConaughey had to say about it. And it just was such common sense from my perspective. Susan hasn't gotten to see that yet. She's just been wildly busy. But from my perspective, it was just common sense. And I can't imagine anyone on either side of any aisle wouldn't look at that message and say, that makes sense. I don't know how to facilitate that kind of stuff. There's people way up the food chain on that. But it just seems like if we went to take a more common sense approach, and he did say this is a time people are starting to pay attention, at least, that it is too consistent. There's things we can't unsee. So that this is the time for that reform. So that's what I'll say on that. And did I answer the question?
Well,
I forgot.
Right. No, we're just talking about, we've had other guests on that, they've just talked about how youth and, their sense of reality.
Yeah.
Like you said, all this violence and shooting and killing on these video games, and then, there they are.
Yeah. I know I drove a car, just one of the race cars at the places, fun, indoor racing. And I was there for what? I raced two races, so I was on the track for a total of 10 minutes. No. It's funny though. You drive like your personality. So, the person who's the fastest, you would have thought she was going to be the fastest. Absolutely. The person who cut you off, oh yeah, you saw that coming. It's really interesting when you're driving like that. But so what was I on a total on the track? 8 minutes. So I get out in my Volvo SUV and I'm like, okay, we got to go. We got to turn. And I'm like, whoa, Nellie, slow down. It was funny how fast. But that's a full-grown adult. And yes, it was a physical thing I was doing, but I got in my own car 15 minutes later and was that aggressive. So now imagine I'm 16, 15, 17, I don't know, because I don't know when the brain does all that stuff. I just know that if that's influenced by that on a daily, hourly, constant, how could it not affect it? How could it not affect them? So I don't know why we're surprised that there's more violence. We're creating it. We are creating that in our living rooms by allowing it, by supporting it. And I didn't mean to be on this platform, but here we are. I feel like it's not right. It's not right. If they're not old enough to hold a gun, why are we teaching them how to at 7? Why?
Yeah. No, I couldn't agree more.
Yeah. Teach them to play tennis. That was my vision of initially getting that in the house, was that we were going to play tennis together. We would play golf. That was my vision of that.
Oh,
the reality of it was Minecraft, which I will say at least has lovely music.
Yeah.
It does. It has great music.
Another thing we spoke about briefly before we came on was nutrition.
Oh, right.
And you have SOS
Well, so in the last couple of years since my dad died, the first thing I kind of came across was a Healy, which is a microfrequency device. And it's amazing, let me be clear. I think it's a little ahead of its time. I think that's a lot for people to wrap their arms around, quantum physics. I don't pretend to understand it, I just know that it works. So we had that, then we have an Avicen that's an arm thing for blood. All of these things kept piling up. Meanwhile, I was doing Medicare. And my expectation of what I was going to be helping people with were people who were like me, just a little bit older. I didn't expect the unhealthiness that comes with that. So, we bought a whiteboard, and my husband says, "So you want a whiteboard, huh?" And I said, No, I want a whiteboard. I said, I don't bring my thoughts in that close. So we have a whiteboard in our living room, which I think I posted something about. Never underestimate the value of a whiteboard in the living room. I mean, we use it all the time for stuff. But
I love whiteboards.
Yeah, I mean, it's just I've moved 14 times, but Tim and my husband didn't understand that until I wrote it, like, really Sacramento to here, to here, to here, picked up a sister from here to here, like all over the map. And he's like, wow, like I didn't get that. And I'm like, no, it looks different in a list,
Yeah.
So yeah, I think whiteboard is a lost way of teaching, so that's another topic. I got off track there, but it'll come back. It always does. I don't remember. Something about the whiteboard.
Nutrition?
Yes, thank you. So when we started putting down all the things that had really crossed our paths, was everything that we had become involved in since 2020, June of 2020 was health related, all holistic, different devices or solutions. Some that we can teach you how to make. Others are things that, is a purchase. The foundation to all of it, though, and anyone who tells you this isn't true, you need to walk away from, every single thing wrong in your body starts in your gut. I have a friend having major dental stuff going on right now, and I'm like, oh my gosh, and I can't get him to sit still long enough to listen to me about what's going on with his gut. So he's got all of this going on, and I'm like, and then you're going to have to do it again. Like, we've got to fix the problem. So anyway, that's the foundation of Sos Health Advocates, which just launched, and that's our logo is a hummingbird, because I am super focused on what I want, and so is a hummingbird. But the hummingbird doesn't just focus on one thing. It goes where it needs to get that nutrition, and I feel like my title in our little company is the strategizer. I added NCEO because I guess men need that on there to take you seriously. So I am the strategizer and CEO. My husband is the resident realist and CFO, and we haven't figured out a good title for Maxwell Sage yet. But anyway, that's the foundation of it, and just real excited to roll this out and help as many people, one person at a time. So different mission, all being derived from the same place. So I think it's good.
That's great.
Yeah,
really,
I'm excited.
It's a domino effect, right?
Yeah.
Just like, this afternoon we had a guest on, and we were talking about how this scholarship that was donated is going to have a ripple effect on so many youth, because it's worth a lot, and there's a lot of opportunities for a lot of youth.
Right.
That wouldn't otherwise have the opportunity to have that, the availability to that kind of money to attend.
What is that? That opportunity meets something, I mean, you've got to cross those two paths. I call those sliding doors moments.
Yeah, no, I'm really excited, and it's from the Nevada School of Professional Studies, and I'm just so excited to meet the youth that are going to actually have the opportunity to utilize it. So, but I'm just saying, the whole ripple effect. Then you have, one youth who's inspired and given this opportunity. Then they talk to another youth, and hey, maybe hey, this was really a great opportunity for me. Maybe get Joey or someone involved, or get whoever involved, and then next thing you know, you've got 5, 10, 15.
Well,
20
and there
people.
is an organization here in Las Vegas specifically for boys, YMSL. Am I allowed to talk about that? It's Young Men's Service League. Young Men's Service League, YMSL, it's similar to NCL, that's for the girls, but this is a mother-son thing, which is really nice because there's not a lot of mother-son things. But, we were out with one of the baseball things and helping the kids and everything. And I mean, it was hot, it was hot and all of that, but I was so proud of how my son was handling the situation, and of course I was the first one to get son, so I got to emulate exactly what I was expecting without saying a word. And I mean, I feel like those little moments are what changes people. I mean, makes somebody like a man. That's my job, is to help build up, this amazing man for the world,
I couldn't agree more. I mean, it's all about the moments within.
Yes.
You have a human doing, and then you have a human being. you have the people that are just doing, and then you have the people that are being, you know, experiencing their life, enjoying their life,
right.
and, you know, really appreciating the moments within, you know, the time that you have.
Yeah. Yeah, and I do think that's my life has shifted that way. I was part of the Great Reset, I guess, is my life was doing. I was doing, you know, I've had a great career doing, you know, and I'm still having a great career, but it's completely, I mean, literally when I think back to a year ago, you know, I don't want to get into it, but I wasn't even the same person. You know, and I do feel kind of lit from within now at this point, you know, so it's a great feeling. You know, it's like, you know exactly what you're supposed to be doing.
Yeah.
So I'm really excited about this path and that I'm doing it with, you know, somebody I trust and building something, you know, the three of us can do together.
I love it. Yeah. You feel lighter.
Yeah.
You know,
absolutely.
You feel like you have some weight that has been lifted off.
Right.
Your whole outlook is different. You feel positive. You wake up in a different attitude. You go to bed with a different attitude.
Oh, grateful always. Yeah. Grateful always is the key.
Yeah, every single night before I go to bed, I must list 100 people that I'm grateful for and thankful for, and thank you for the roof over my head. And, you know, the car that starts, and you just down to the basics. Just be thankful and grateful for everything, really, because it can be gone in a second.
As I had come back in, this was, I don't know, a year ago, Easter maybe, and I'd come back in to do something. We were going to Sunday night church at the Crossings, and I ran back in and I was, you know, I'm flustered because I'm late and I'm grabbing this and grabbing this. I'm like, oh God, I literally said out loud, I'm like, oh, you know. And I walked out and I'm like, that was probably the most genuine prayer I've ever prayed, because it was honestly like he knew, and it was like the waters suddenly in my life relaxed, you know. I mean, so just a lot of signs, a lot of philosophies going around, rambling around in the head.
And understanding what really matters.
Absolutely.
And what really is important.
Yeah.
You know?
Right.
Does X, Y, and Z really deserve that much attention?
Right.
Or does this person, or, you know, if there's someone who's toxic or whatever it might be, you know, just...
I know, just, yeah. I'm learning to compartmentalize. Somebody told me I should do that, and I'm like, oh, I don't like when I, you know, have to compartmentalize somebody. It disappoints me when somebody has to be recompartmentalized, you know, or something like that.
Put them in a different section.
Yeah, like, oh, bummer. I had a different expectation, but okay, if that's the role you're going to play in my life. Exactly. But yeah, I think it's more important that you all come together. I'm talking about family at this point, from the same roots. So there's something that binds together no matter what. The squabblies along the way, those are really, you know, the woodpecker over there and somebody trimmed a branch over there. I mean, it's still all coming back down to family, you know, and then the family you choose, which of course are your friends.
Yes, I couldn't agree more.
Yeah.
We have a pretty amazing, I would call it, you know, family. We have a big family.
Big extended family, yeah.
Yeah, we really do.
So, and it's one of these that some people come, people go, people show up for everything, other people don't. It's just easy.
Yeah. It really is.
Yeah, I like that.
And like going over to Candy's house, right? It's just...
Oh, I've told when I've invited somebody to hers, I've said, you know, if you go once, you'll never miss another one.
Yeah.
Like it's just once you go to our Candyland.
Yeah.
Once you have a party, once you go there, you're not gonna ever miss another one.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, we're definitely very blessed, and I'm very grateful for those moments we have together.
Yeah, me too. I think she's in talks about doing something event related with her home. You know, to have that as a venue, you know, for certainly small, beautiful weddings, corporate events, charity events, all of that, because the space is just unique, and it's one of those you don't know that it's there in that pocket of Las Vegas until you are there. And it is an oasis without the palm tree vibe. It's just its own vibe. It isn't any particular style other than Candy's style. So that is something we're going to be working on. Is that project too?
Well, that's perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's between the Halloweens and just everything. You know? And it all comes down to the host, obviously, which is our beautiful friend.
Absolutely. So the Friday and Saturday, I'm having Zalevo come at my home. Our master formulator and director of labs is going to be talking about health and about our bodies and why we need to be. What's that word? I always want to say subsidized, but that's not the word I meant. Supplement. And subsidized is a good word for that too. But why? Why do we need to supplement? Like, because of the pesticides from the 50s. If it was going to kill the bugs and we've been eating it for 50 years, what do we think's happening? You know, I mean, like, why are we surprised the things we did in the past are how we got here? So now that's, you know, we got to fix it. But anyway, that goes back to the gut health and all of that. But the company is Zalevo. I love the meaning of it if anybody's interested in looking that up. But have them just...
Where can they find it?
They can find it at www.zalevo.com.
How do you spell it?
ZALLEVO.com/Andi Sage. I was told when you first go to the website, go to Our Story. I already knew I wanted the products. I didn't go to Our Story. I went to shop and I learned about the products. But now that I know the story, I would really encourage you to go to the Our Story part of Zalevo, because it speaks to the integrity of the people and the company and what's going into the product. So we never have to worry about anything being changed, modified down the road, anything, because I trust who is making it. Anyway, she's going to speak on the health of it and what sets Zalevo apart from other nutrition companies, because how would the consumer even know? So we're just having a little enlightenment deal at my house, 6:30 on Friday and 10 o'clock on Saturday. I'll give out the address if somebody reaches out to me.
Nice.
Okay, and my email is andisage@outlook.com. ANDI.
SAGE.
So cute. You're dressed like it, the gold, the black, and everything. That's our packaging.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, because they're really fabulous. So.
Well, you could always call us at 888-JJI-0010, or you could always send us an email at juvenilejusticeimpact@gmail.com, or you could always visit our website at www.impactjji.com, and stay tuned on our social media. Always go to the donate button. Every dollar counts, and we definitely put it towards helping our youth and families in our community in so many different ways.
Right.
As
Right.
you've seen.
Right.
And so I'm very thankful and grateful to have you as a guest, and
happy to be here.
And thank you.
I have to say, when
right there.
Tim said, "What are we going to talk about?" I'm like, I don't know, actually. You know, she said, "Do you want to?" And I said yes before she'd finished her question. So I'm living in a place of yes. So that's how we ended up here. But thank you for the invitation.
Yeah, thank you.